G'day.
I thought I'd just capture a little bit of footage. I'm not going to capture too much because, well, it's kind of boring. But the country really hasn't changed for the last hour or so that I've been travelling. And nor will it change terribly much. We'll go through a town in about half an hour or so, but other than that there'll be no more changes other than the town itself and a river we'll go across for the next several hours. And I thought this would give a little bit of perspective for people who haven't really seen the flat country much before. Don't be fooled by the bit of green tinge out there. We're still in severe drought. This country doesn't need a lot of rainfall for it to promote some immediate growth, but because it does subsist on pretty low rainfall out here at the best times. But there is no moisture down low, despite the fact that there has been some rain, like last night, and some about a week ago, but it's still been pitifully small. And, you know, the country is really, really struggling. If you were driving along here after dark now, you would guarantee to need a minimum of a bull bar on your motor vehicle. See this bit of green stuff on either side of the road and down into what we call the table drains, which is just the drains there. Well, out in the paddocks themselves there's not a whole heap of green pick for livestock and kangaroos and other native animals. So after dark they tend to encroach onto the sides of the roads, and when you come along they're just likely to jump out in front of you. And out in this particular country here, you might strike not the most appropriate term, but you might see emus, kangaroos, and I suppose a few wallabies. All types of birds. Sheep, cattle, occasionally pigs and goats. And if you look on either side of the road, there are no fences. So there's nothing at all to impede them coming into the edge of the road. Plus than that, those table drains, which are designed to allow the water to run off the crown of the road and protect the road, also serve a purpose of providing moisture very close to the roads, which the critters will drink from, and of course it also promotes that green growth that you can see. And you might see just back there, you might have to rewind and have another look, but there was a little pool of water in one of the table drains on the right hand side. As you can see, there's not a lot of trees. There are some from time to time. This was actually once upon a time called the One Tree Plain. Long before the white man came along, it had denuded itself of trees, except for one, which is why it got called the One Tree Plain. Any trees that do grow in this sort of country are usually stunted, and there's just not enough water here to sustain, trees very much. A little bit further afield from here there is, and along where the river is, there is, and a couple of these soaks along the side, but as a general rule, the plains themselves can't sustain, trees. It can sustain saltbush, which is native here and grows pretty well, but it can't sustain trees. The trees that tend to grow kind of stunted, mulberry looking things. They don't grow very tall. The roots go very deep, I believe. But they're not, certainly not the fine great gum trees that you have closer to the coast and in areas of greater rainfall. And we're doing about the speed limit. I think it's 110 kilometres an hour here. We're doing 100, so old mate was quite legal to overtake us here. And as you see, there's not a huge amount of traffic, so it was pretty safe. But as I said, after dark, you want a rhubarb along here, guaranteed, particularly after there's been this little bit of rain like there has been, because there'll be literally thousands of roos along here tonight. And as I said, this will go, the country will look like this for a good deal further. But I'm not just going to sit here and just record nothing out the front just for you to get bored. There's actually more traffic on this road today than I was anticipating. Usually you'd go along here and maybe see one or two vehicles in half an hour. But there's a bit about, might have something to do with the fact that it's cold, I don't know. So what we'll do, I'll just record up here for a little bit longer till we go past this. You can't see it, I don't think, in the camera yet, but there is a car and caravan approaching from in front. We'll get past it and then I'll shut down the recorder. Thank you for listening and watching. Hope it was of some interest to you. Here's that caravan.